Okay, so we're still on explore number 2, and we got cut off. We were talking about hotspots. So let's go ahead and continue that conversation here. Um, if we take a look at the picture up here, this was crust, and we're going to call this location A. Okay, this is location A. Now, we said that the plume stays stationary, but the crust, because tectonic plates move, we can go ahead and say that the next image looks something like this. And maybe this was the core down here. This was the outer core. And so that's where that liquid magma was rising up, and it passed through the asthenosphere. Okay, so in our next picture, we still have our core, and we still have our plume, right? That has not moved. Plume doesn't move. What does move? The crust moves. So now what we have is our crust. So maybe we had location B. Let's just say location B was right over here. Okay. So what happens now is our crust has shifted, and location B is now in this spot, right? Because it's moved. And location A is over here, right? This was location A. The crust has moved. And so what's going to happen now is the heat from the plume is going to melt the surface, and it's going to create a second swelling, second volcano. And this is how Hawaii formed. This is how the Galapagos Islands formed. So what you have now is, instead of just one volcano, you have two volcanoes. And if they break the ocean, right, if the ocean is over here, then those could rise above the ocean, and they could form these volcanic islands, right? Now, sometimes they don't break the. So this could be this would be an example of. Well, I don't want to say volcanic arcs. That's not exactly right. If they don't break the water, though, if they stay underwater, they can form a seamount. And sometimes when they break the water, sometimes weathering actually will wear them down, and they'll form things called atolls. Okay, so sounds like we need to introduce some new terms here. Okay, and maybe also take a look at some pictures here. This is going to be letter 2, or number 2. Don't know what just happened there. Let's erase that. Okay. Number 2. What did I do there? I don't even know what I'm doing there, but let's see if we can correct this. Number 2. Okay, that's better. All right, so magma that fuels the hotspot melts through the ocean plate and forms a submarine volcano called seamounts. Okay, so seamounts, what are, actually this is not going to be 2. This is going to be letter B. I think that's really what I want to say there. So let's erase this, and let's say letter B. And underwater volcanoes are called seamounts. Okay. And that basically just says that you've got your ocean. This is the ocean. And this is the ground, the crust, oceanic crust. And you have a underwater volcano. This would be an underwater volcano. And what do we call them? We call them seamounts. Okay. And again, I want you to read through this, okay? But eventually, a seamount may breach the surface. That means it breaks above the surface and becomes an island, okay? If it rises above the water, it becomes a volcanic island. It becomes a volcanic island, right? So versus if we had, let's just draw this picture again. And we had our ocean water, right? But this time, the volcano actually got bigger, and it actually breaks above the water. Then this becomes a volcanic island. Okay. And that's because it's rising above the ocean water level. Okay, so there's your idea between seamounts and volcanic islands. If you take a look over here, we've got this idea. They're using the Hawaiian Islands here, the Hawaiian Ridge. Okay. And you can see that the oldest volcano, so the arrows are telling you that this plate is moving this direction. See those arrows? The plate moves that direction. So this oldest one was the first volcano to form. Then the plate moved, and then it made a second volcano. Then the plate moved again. It formed a third volcano, that's Maui. And then the big island of Hawaii is the fourth volcano, and that's the one that is right now having volcanic eruptions. This is the active volcano in the Hawaiian Islands, okay? It is the youngest, and it is spewing lava today as we speak. I've been over there and hiked it, and it's pretty interesting. All right, so let's just go ahead and erase that line there that I did there, and let's move on. Okay, so this is the idea of a fixed hotspot. Okay, understand that, appreciate that. The hotspot is fixed. It's the plate moves. The plate is what's moving above it. Okay. All right, we're almost finished here, believe it or not. As the dormant volcano moves further from the hot magma plume, the crust begins to cool. As the distance from the hot spot increases, the island begins to subside. It kind of starts to sink back beneath the ocean. A guyot is a submerged volcanic island that has a flat, eroded top from the time the island was above the water. Okay, we'll look at some pictures of that. Now, interestingly, you have this term down here called an atoll. The interior of an atoll is called a lagoon. So what happens is, as these guyots, they flatten down, as they sink, you can actually have coral that builds up around them. In warm tropical waters, here we go, coral grows around the perimeter of the sinking volcanic island, and that is going to form what we call an atoll. All right, and they show some pictures here. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? The atolls in the Maldives, or Maldives, I forget how you say that, but you can see that underwater, you can see the shape of that volcano, but the volcano is no longer above the water. It's worn down from weathering. Okay. And what has happened is you've had a coral wall build around the perimeter here. They got kind of a line here. This is the coral wall, right? And that coral wall is created a sort of lagoon. Okay, and you can see that in this case, soil and sediment is kind of filled up inside of there, and it's actually people actually live there. Okay, so we'll probably want to draw that. So this is going to be letter C. Letter C. And what happens here is you can have the first term we want to say is we want to talk about a guyot. Okay, so let's draw a volcano. You have the ocean floor. You have the ocean water. And you have a volcano that forms. And it rises above the water. And then what happens is, as time goes on, the weathering this could be wind or rain, weathering, i.e. wind, rain, wears it down, breaks it down, breaks it down. And so then what happens is you have a volcano, but it stops right at the waterline. And now this is called a guyot. Okay, this is a guyot. Okay, and then the last idea here is that this can subside or sink down even more. And what you get is, here we draw our ocean floor again. And we'll draw our water. And we'll draw our volcano. But this time the volcano maybe has subsided to this level. And what's happened in its place there, let me see if I can find a color that's going to work. We'll use this color here. You have coral that has built up. Okay. And this is a coral reef wall. And now what happens is this forms a lagoon inside of it. A lagoon is like a pool of water. Lagoon forms inside. And let's go back over to these pictures over here. And I think that that's it there. Let's see if we could maybe, so let's go and write this down. This would be an atoll. Okay, make sure we got that correct. All right. And if we were to go and open up another tab and we were to type in an atoll and see what kind of images we get. See? These are atolls. This is a good picture here. Okay. You can see in this image here that, see that big pool of water that's formed inside a volcano? And that volcano is under the ocean now. And you can see there's several of these atolls visible in the distance. That's kind of what the idea is there. Okay. Well, I think that we may have covered all of our notes. So let me just go ahead and expand upon this just a little bit. I think I can drag this over this way.